Welcome, everybody, into the Charles White State Farm Coaches Show. I'm Gabe Stoesz. Today we're joined by head men's basketball coach Charles Belt. Charles, it's good to have you on. How's it going?
Absolutely, man. Doing well. The joys of off season, if we want to call it that. So doing pretty good.
Yeah. Obviously, this past season was not what you had planned for, not what you had hoped for. Now that you've had some time to look back, kind of see things from a bigger picture, what can you take away from it, or what have you personally learned from it as a coach?
This year was interesting to say the least. You come in, you always kind of hope that you've built your roster in a way that will allow you to be as competitive as you can. Non-con is always a feeling out period, but we know we play 22 plus conference games. I mean, your season is 1,000,000% based around what you do in the SAC.
Mm-hmm.
And coming in, I actually thought we had a roster that I felt was very comfortable to take into SAC play. We, unfortunate, however you want to slice and dice it, had a few things even before we got on campus that you just can't predict, and whether information was distorted or whatever. We had a couple guys that didn't even pass their physicals, and so they never touched the floor for us at all. And that was big, especially, in our situation. I always remind my staff, I remind the other coaches here too, as young coaches that we have that are new in their head coaching journeys, that we're really not in a situation where we can miss from a recruiting standpoint. We don't have that plethora of multiple big scholarships. We have to hit on the guys that we recruit. And so to lose two of those guys without even them being able to dribble a ball for us this year kind of put us behind the eight ball. And then I'm sure we may talk about some individuals. Losing Mike Carter, the second possession of the second game of the year. Mike Carter has always been our most important player. And so that set us up for a very different season. And what I can take away that's positive, because you always got to look at it from different perspectives, is the guys that did play the entire year never gave up. They never quit. They never stopped believing. They gave us everything that they had. We were able to show that we could bring in some guys this semester that were capable players, and were able to step in and contribute right away with, 3-4 days of basically being within what we were doing, and it not look like we added or implemented these guys that hadn't been around. So that gives you some confidence that the systems that we run are learnable, they're adaptable, and it also shows that we are still doing a good job of identifying talent. We were able to add talent very quickly going into second semester. Just one of those years, I think, where a couple things you can't predict. And so, I've reevaluated a lot, and I'm sure we'll get into a couple other questions on how to build going forward, and some things that are going to be important for me in that process. But, for what we were looking at from the roster we thought we'd have versus the roster that we ended up having to go out and try to compete with, I can't get upset at the effort and at the competitiveness that we brought throughout the year. We were still in every game, right? And so that part tells me that there are some things that we're still doing right.
Yep. The beginning of April is here now. Take us through what this time of year looks like for you. Are you diving right into recruiting? Are you looking back some at the last season? Is it a mix of both? Are you able to recharge at all?
Yeah. Recharge, not so much. All right. I wish. No, we've started our postseason workouts for the guys that are returning. One thing that was a positive, I believe, this year, and again, you just never know in this new era, is we have quite a few guys that are returning. We have 3 guys that are signed to come back that were contributors, played very, very substantial minutes for us. That's new here, sadly. So that's a good thing. Along with that, we will, as of right now, bring back 9 guys total, which is big. A handful of those guys that we brought in that semester didn't get to participate, and so they ended up just kind of redshirting the rest of the semester, getting ready for fall. Those guys will be healthy, eligible, and ready to go. And then we have a few players that now will be within the program for 3 years. So that's number one, is the postseason work, making sure that those guys are able to continue to establish culture. It makes it way easier to then do the second component of April, which is recruit, right? And now you're not recruiting 14, 15 new guys. Back-to-back years here at OPSU, at minimum, we've brought in 13 players.
You're a whole new team.
A whole new team. And the facts are we're not built. Me as a coach, the way that I like to go about building our teams, the cultures, the systems, and things like that, I'm just not. I'm not good. I can admit what I'm not well at. I'm not good at the strangers walking into the door coaching. I'm not. I'm a relationship coach.
Yep.
I'm not very transactional. And so having to replace 13, 14, 15 guys every year for us has set us back. Now we've got 9 coming back. So there's at least a logical room. There's a culture. There's a hierarchy. There's a leadership. Now I get to focus on the recruiting element of being patient, right?
Sure.
The new era feels like speed dating. It does. It feels like speed dating. And we haven't had to do that. We've gotten a couple commitments already that are great relationship guys we've built. We've got a couple that are going to be making their decisions here in the next 4 or 5 days that, again, we've been with for weeks and months. Like, I'm excited that I believe we get a few of those yeses. It just brings a different culture. And so that's really been the focus is on postseason with the guys that are returning and then making sure that we're doing a great job of recruiting around relationships way more than we met you on Twitter 6 days ago.
Yeah.
Here's an opportunity. And you're like, yep, I'm coming to OPSU. It's like it's speed dating. And because of that, we've done that in the past. And as you see, the results haven't turned into success on the court.
Sure. Every year we talk about it, but the Sooners showed its strength again this year. 5 teams playing in the national tournament. You had Langston make it all the way to the national championship game, nearly pull it off. Are you watching those games as a coach? And if and when you do watch other NAIA teams play basketball, what are you looking for? Or maybe even when you talk to other coaches around the NAIA,
Yeah.
what can you take from them?
No, I mean you hit it spot on, right? The SAC was the only conference to go 4-1 in the first day, and then of course Langston making it to the championship game twice here in the 3 years that I've been a part of the SAC. You're watching those games, but I believe that I've adjusted how I'm watching those games. In the past couple of years of watching them, I've tried to, again, we talked about it in the last question, I've tried to then build our team how those teams are built. And this is a reality that most people may or may not know. We're not fully funded. And so those teams have an opportunity to build their rosters in a way that we just can't.
Yep.
Right? I cannot walk into a Division I portal, which opens tomorrow, and go, here's a 1.0 full ride. And just, I mean, it's an arms race, right? I mean, that's what college basketball has become. And hate it or love it, look at the Division I level, right? Everybody talks about, well, Michigan built this team on this and how much they spent. You know, the trickle down still happens. It's just we don't have the NIL, it's scholarships.
Yep.
Right? So at our level, can you give out the biggest scholarship? Right? And so, yes and no, I watch those games, but I love what we're doing this year because I've learned the puzzle is always figuring out what you can do where you are and how do you construct the best roster for where you are.
Mm-hmm.
We're never going to be built like 90% of the SAC. The SAC is a great league because 8 or 9 teams are fully funded in this league. It's amazing, right? It's competitive. That's why we are as good as we are as a conference. Watching those games, I've been able to look at more style, physicality.
Sure.
Right? Way more than talent and how their teams are built.
Yep.
And so that's the key is understanding how we have to be here versus looking and going, oh, I love what they're doing. Can we replicate that?
Yeah.
The answer is probably no. And trying to do that has put us in a situation I believe that we've been in. We've speed dated a little much in recruiting. So no, the SAC is an absolute juggernaut, and so it's always exciting to see the success they have.
Sure, we've touched on it, but with the current state of college athletics and basketball in particular, transfers, recruiting, all of that, how is that impacting you specifically as we look forward now to next year?
Yeah, for us, you know, we again for another year potentially we'll be losing our best player, leading scorer. He's exploring some options, and I'm supportive, right? I've understood how to lean into this new era. Two of the players that, again, in the next week that we might get yeses from are as all in on our program because of that part. So
Sure.
it's changed. I was, I'm going to say this here for everybody. I was joking with a couple of the parents because we had visits this week. And I said, if we were a JUCO, I'd probably be one of the top JUCO coaches. And the reason I say that is collectively over the 3 years, we would have had, if they would have all stayed, 3 Division I basketball players and 2 Division II players would have been our potential starting lineup.
Sure.
One of those Division I players, multiple newcomer of the weeks in the Ohio Valley. We've had talent here. It's not even close. We've had tremendous talent here. We haven't been able to keep that talent. Recruiting here is not hard. I always say that people are like, man, your location's got to be. Recruiting's not hard here. We can get players. Retention is hard. Retention is the hard part, and that's where the transfer market has changed things.
Sure.
There are so many options, and it's a free market now that it's really, really difficult to get guys to stay put anywhere, let alone in our location. And so that's the change to how we build it. We've got to sell that Coach Belt is doing a tremendous job of moving guys into the Division I, Division II levels because that's where everyone wants to go. Everyone's seeing this trajectory upward. It's way more recruiting the relationship of, can you give me a great 8 months? And that's crazy to say at a 4-year university, but that's what I mean by changing my approach and leaning in. It's building a relationship to bring people in that understand this is what we're trying to do in this snapshot. You can't recruit development anymore. At least here we can't. Because we're not going to get to the promised land when they become juniors and they're really good and they're ready to go. Because when they're really good as a junior, guess what? They're going Division I.
Yep.
And so, or Division II. So that's been the change. It's different. It's not why I got into coaching, but you either catch up or you're a dinosaur. And I refuse to be a dinosaur.
Good. Well, Coach, the grind never stops for you. We look forward to see what we're building for next year, and wish you the best of luck in the success in recruiting. Thanks for joining us today.
I appreciate it.
This has been the latest edition of the Charles White State Farm Coaches Show, and we will see you with the next episode. Thank you.